Hello everyone. I think it's finally time that I made this video. It's gotten to a certain point where I just can't ignore it any longer. I've have to make this video today to really get it off my chest. It's been a huge looming thing. It's been over my head for I think months now. It's been over some other people's heads for probably years now. And I think this certain group of people in the UFC do a very mediocre job. They can definitely make a lot of improvements in what they do, but they don't. And they have a bias, and they make poor decisions, and they say dumb things. And some of them are just straight up casuals of the sport of MMA. They don't watch it anymore. They're more focused on doing their podcast and doing other things to promote themselves rather than being a great UFC analyst slash commentator. Yes, that's right. I am calling out the UFC commentary booth. Now, some of them are pretty good, and I do like some of the commentators right now, but Joe Rogan, I think, has no place being on the commentary desk anymore. He is basically only a big personality now. He is nothing else than that. When you listen to Joe Rogan on the commentary booth, or a few times that I have listened to him, it is not anything that is beneficial or going to strengthen the mind of an MMA fan or a casual. All you're going to hear is the same things over and over again. Oh, he's hurt. You know, him screaming on the desk, him calling out how calf kicks have changed the game for the 50th time. He is not providing any new information to me as a fan after watching him for years. I mean, years and years, I have watched Rogan be on commentary, and he has gotten somehow worse and worse. And I think now he has hit the point where he is at an all-time low. And I love Joe Rogan. I think he's a funny guy. I love watching his podcast. But I think the game of MMA has kind of passed him up. I think that he has finally gotten to the point where it's not his big inspiration. It's not his motivation in life. It is now his second fiddle. MMA is now a tier lower than what his life usually is. He is more focused on his podcast and doing a stand-up and doing whatever Joe Rogan does on a daily basis, then worrying about studying and watching and being a big fan of the sport of MMA. Now, is he not a fan anymore? No, Joe Rogan is still a fan, but he's a casual now. Straight up, he's a casual now. He provides nothing new, no new information. When you hear Joe Rogan speak about this new up-and-coming prospect, do you hear him saying anything that is interesting or intriguing or shows that he has great knowledge of what he's talking about? No, it's just basic MMA talk, basic casual talk that any MMA fan can bring to light that just started watching the sport maybe for a month or maybe even for a week. You know what I mean? There's nothing crazy going on about it. So I think Joe Rogan should take a step back from the commentary booth and just focus on doing, the introductions, the ceremonial weigh-ins. Keep him doing that shit. But the whole commentary booth thing, I think, is we can find people who are better than Joe Rogan to fill in his spot. Basically, Joe Rogan is a part-timer on the commentary desk. I mean, I see Paul Felder, I see Cruz, I see even DC, out here doing fucking Apex cards. And where is Joe Rogan to be found? Only on pay-per-view cards. And he's not even here for every single pay-per-view. He's a part-time commentator, and you're paying him a bunch of money to basically show up once a month. If Rogan came in there and he was on top of his shit, he was saying all the right things, he was bringing, real amounts of value to the commentary desk, I wouldn't complain too much. I know he's a big name and he has other things to do outside of the UFC, but he's not bringing that. He's not bringing that super intricate detail. Again, he's just kind of being a basic casual. So Joe Rogan, again, just step back and just focus on doing things that don't require too much input from him in the UFC, in my opinion. But it's not just Joe Rogan. It's not just him. Now, I think DC has gotten a lot better. I think Cruz has always been one of the better commentators, but they do show some bias a lot of the times to grapplers, especially DC and Cruz. There was one example, and we all know the Cruz situation with, I think, the Conor McGregor-Khabib fight. That was a huge bad thing, but that's just one mistake, and I'm not going to hold that too over Cruz's head. And I like Cruz. I think Cruz is one of the better commentators, but there is a bias, and it is showing loud and clear. Whenever there's a grappler versus a striker, they seem to kind of lean towards the grappler and they kind of hide it in a very slick way. You'll hear them on the commentary desk. You know, they'll sit back and they'll see a grappler have some control time, but obviously be losing on the feet and doing no damage to the guy he's on top of. But they'll still say, oh, I don't know, how do you score this? I mean, obviously, what do the judges value more? Do they value control time or do they value damage? Because obviously, this fighter has been on top for longer, doing absolutely no fucking damage. And obviously, when they're on the feet, he gets outstrucken and his face is all damaged up. But the control time, it's important. It's so important. No, it's not. Obviously, the judges are going to lean towards damage, but they like to sit here and play that line and tote that line and almost cross it to try to influence the fans to feel a certain way about the control time. And they're kind of implementing a robbery into our brains before it even happens. They're already kind of get us to pre-believe a robbery is going to happen by kind of influence us to think that the control time is actually worth something now in MMA when it's not. It's scored based upon damage. If you get outstrucken on the feet and then you take somebody down and do no damage from that position, you do not win a round. It's just as simple as that. Now, things are kind of equal on the feet and somebody has a takedown and has control time, then it's different. But when somebody's getting clearly out damaged, like Jack Della versus Bastil Hafez was his name, clearly, it doesn't matter. Bastil Hafez is sitting there and he is on top doing absolutely no damage to Jack Della, while Jack Della is landing fucking body shots, headshots, crazy combination against the fence while gassed. And we still have DC and Cruz going, I don't know, what do you value more, control time or damage? Obviously fucking damage, bro. It's simply just damage. Even that being said, I still like both these guys as commentators. I just hate sometimes that they bias the grapplers. DC has gotten a lot better. Back in the past, something came out about him basically not writing his own notes or having somebody write for him. He had a ghostwriter of some sorts. And I think since that, he's kind of found a way to improve. And I love how they get a little bit more intricate in detail about the grappling exchanges and what they need to do. Cruz can be a bit annoying sometimes, the way he talks, and I don't know, he's a bit sus a little bit the way he talks. But overall, I don't have too many complaints about them, but they are really biased towards the grapplers. It's just straight up like that. And Bisping, do I need to go into Bisping? Do I need to talk about Bisping? He just he rambles a lot, man. He just talks and rambles and doesn't do much. He doesn't add much to the game or sport at all. He just sits there and just talks and he basically breathes into the microphone. I saw MMA Guru had a whole beef with him recently, and his points were valid, man. His points were valid about Michael Bisping. So I don't need to go too much into Bisping. If you want to have or see a real criticism of him, just go over to the MMA Guru's channel and check him out. Big shout out to him, like he needs it from me, but I more need it so from him. But Bisping is just kind of a mid guy. I think he's one of the worst. If I had to rank him, I would say he's probably last or second to last. But the only good commentators right now are basically Anik and I think Felder. And Felder can be a bit boring. His voice is just, it's not the best for MMA. It's almost like a little girl voice, you know what I mean? It's not to me, it's not manly enough. But I think Felder is really underrated, man. He does say it how it is. He doesn't say too many bad things. He's not biased. I think Felder is second best commentator next to Anik, and Anik's the most professional guy, obviously. I never heard that man stutter ever in my life. He just talks. He's so well-spoken is what I mean. I think Anik is definitely one of the best commentators out there. He does insanely good promo. Obviously, he's completely unbiased. He kind of keeps, DC and Cruz and everybody on the commentary desk in line. That's Anik's job, is to be the professional guy who keeps the other guys, the color commentators, in line when they're getting a bit too off topic or they're being a bit too silly on the desk. We just see Anik go in there and be like, hey, shut that shit down. I can't do an impression of him, but we see Anik kind of hold down the fort of the commentary desk. So I would say he's the best one. But overall, man, I just hate the commentators sometimes. Sometimes it gets really bad. Joe Rogan is obviously not a fan of the sport anymore. Cruz and DC get biased. Felder has his moments too, like his cringe moments, but I think Felder's overall pretty good. That one guy that we don't know, he's just that one. I think it's Mike Braden is his name. You just don't know him. You know what I mean? He's not really that kind of guy who you're gonna know, but he's basic. So I guess that's pretty good. But then again, he's not being anything special with this commentary, so it's not anything else. But I think overall, we need to see a revamp. I think we need to get Bisping and Rogan just some time off, man. They don't really deserve to be on the commentary desk, bro. They don't do enough, man. They're just there. They're just simply there, especially Rogan. He's just simply just there. He's just an entity at the commentary desk, and it's not anything special to watch anymore. But overall, commentary is it's nothing to be proud of. Every time I go watch a card, I typically have my headset off the entire time. And if I do listen to commentary, if I do put my headset back on, it's really only mainly to hear the crowd and how loud they are. I'm a big fan of crowd noise, and obviously that makes the fights way more interesting whenever the crowd's really into the fight. So I only put my headset on just to listen to the crowd noise. And when I do happen to hear DC, or I happen to hear Bisping or Rogan or anybody who I dislike in the commentary desk, I immediately just feel bad. So I've actually changed my shit to Spanish. I now listen to Brandon Moreno on commentary desk. I don't understand a single word that he's saying right now, but I prefer a Spanish-speaking Moreno over Joe Rogan right now. Straight up. They're nothing special. We need to revamp commentary desk. I think Rogan should step back. I think Bisping has a lot of work to do, and possibly he should be removed for a little bit, or we should see him less, or only put him on Apex cards. We should see Bisping less and less, especially on the pay-per-view. DC and Cruz need to fix their bias. It is what it is at this point. I don't know what to really say anymore about this. I hate commentary at this point. Yeah, that's pretty much the video. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon for notifications as well. Thank you guys for watching up to this point in the video. I surely do appreciate it. I don't know. Fuck the commentary desk. I'm out of here. Peace.